What's up guys, this is going to be a level 0 video. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a little polarity switch circuit. It's kind of jank since we're using 2 switches instead of 1, but it gets the job done, and it's a good little deep dive into how dpdt circuits work, or dpdt switches. So what you're going to need are a box of wires. You're going to be needing a perf board. Helping hands are absolutely necessary. I'd recommend getting a fume extractor with helping hands, and then you're going to be needing wire cutters, and last but not least, solder and a couple of switches. Oh, and then motors as well. We'll get to that at the end. All right, let's start by getting our switches plugged into the perf board. We're going to bend the switches sides up so that they can fit in there better. All right, at this point, your 2 switches should be in. They should have a decent amount of space in between them, at least 4 pins. I did a lot of space because, as you'll see later, we're going to be putting wires in between them, crossed. It's kind of hard if they're really close together. So next, we're going to be working on getting the ground and the power wires hooked up to the middle pin of the switch. So you'll see the switch has 3 pins, 1, 2, 3, and we want it on the middle pin for both the ground and the power. It doesn't really matter which way you put it, which place you put the ground and which place you put the power, as long as they're on the middle of each of the switches. Before we can insert our wires into the actual perf board, we're gonna need to strip the wires ends. So I'm gonna go over this one time, and then I'm just gonna leave it out for the rest of the video, just since we're gonna have to do this a lot of times. So first you want to snip off a sizable chunk of wire, maybe like a little bit shorter than your finger, a little bit longer than your finger. And then you're going to want to look at your wire strippers, and you're going to want to go down to the hole that says 18, the hole that says 18. You're going to put it into the hole that says 18, pinch down, pull, and then you should have a nice clean piece of metal sticking out. Since this isn't a solid core wire, you're going to twist it a little bit, so that way all of the wire stays together when you insert it into the perf board. And you're going to repeat that for the other side. So we're going to look for the hole that says 18, should be this one right here. We're going to get our wire, put it through, and then squeeze down and pull, and then it should come out nice and clean like it did for the last one. And now for the part we've all been waiting for, the soldering. You're going to want to put your wire in through the back, around one hole between the, let me zoom in a little bit, one hole between the 3rd pin and the wire. So as you can see, there's a 1 hole space here. If we flip it around really quick, you'll notice that there's a little metal chunk, little metal piece on the side of the switch that blocks one of the holes, so you're going to need to move your wire 1 hole over. So back to the other side of the perf board, we're going to get our solder, and we're just going to solder down this wire right here, and we're going to bridge it all the way to the middle wire. It's important we don't touch this pin or this pin, the left or right pins, because if we bridge those 2 pins, it's going to mess up our circuit. So let's get started with the solder. Super clean, but it gets the job done. As you can see, there's a line straight from the middle pin all the way to where the wire is connected right there. We're just going to repeat that step for the other side and get ourselves a red wire. Here we go, same thing. Now we're just going to be soldering the red wire on. Guys, we got a bee that just landed on my wire clippers. It's the middle of the night, so I'm not sure what the hell is happening, but that's what we got going on right now. So I'm gonna get this guy out of here, and we're gonna resume the video. All right, I had to pause the video, but the bee is officially out of the ICF, and we can resume soldering. So let's get back to it. All right, next step here, we want to get the crossing wires, the crossing ground, and the crossing power. And how we're going to do that is essentially, I don't know if you can see those 2 pins on the right and the left. It's kind of out of focus. The pins on the top right here and the bottom right here are gonna cross with the pins on the top right here and the bottom right here. It's gonna be easier when I actually do the soldering to understand what I'm talking about, but until then, you're just gonna visualize this diagram right here where the black crosses from the bottom switch up to the top switch, and then the red crosses from the bottom pin down to the top pin. So let's get into it. All right, a question I had during the level 0 meeting last time was which switch to connect it to, the top one or the bottom one for the black pin or the red pin. The answer is it doesn't really matter because we're going to be connecting the motors from one of the sides, and since the switch is a polarity switch and not an on and off switch, actually even if it was an on and off switch, it wouldn't matter because you're going to be flipping the switch both ways anyways. So let's do it. We're going to be going from this side to this side right here, and again we're going to be taking let me zoom in really quick. We're going to be taking one pin over from the actual switch pin. We're going to be going one pin over. So let's insert this one right here. All right, now that you can see the wire is inserted, we're going to be doing the same thing, bridging the two together. So let's do this right here. We're down to the opposite side switch on the right this time. You'll notice this one's on the left. We're going to bring it down to the switch on the right here. All right, now that we got the wire in, let's do the same thing, bridge the two. I gotta be careful here because our solder is really close to the pin on the right. It shouldn't be an issue if we just do it very carefully. After that first bridge, you're gonna see we got the black wire coming from the pin on the top down to the pin on the bottom for the switch on the left and the switch on the right, respectively. Now we're going to be doing the same thing with the red wire. Same thing as the black wire. You're going to want to go from the pin on the left right here down to the pin on the right, or vice versa, depending how you set up your wiring schematic. But you just want to have a nice little bridge like that when you're finished. And then of course we're going to solder and round things up. All right. There we go. By the way, I also would not recommend using this specific soldering iron. It's pretty thick. It's kind of hard to do precision solders. It's better for heating up very bulky, dense material that's been soldered on for a while. This is not a very good solder, in my opinion, at least, for small little perk boards. But we're going to continue with it anyways, just for the sake of time, and we'll wrap this video up pretty soon. At this point, you should have something that looks like this. Two cross wires going to the top and bottom pins, and then a red, so a power, and a black ground wire going through these center pins. Now we need to connect to the motor. So we're going to do one pin coming out of this one right here, and again we're going to bridge it since there's a little bit of metal from the switch covering one of those holes. So yeah, we're gonna bridge a red one over here. Yeah, and then a black one over here on the back. So let's do that. All right, we're gonna stick our first pin right in here. Let me zoom in for you guys. I'm going right through this hole right here. Let's do it. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to do the same thing as we've been doing, just bridge the solder once again. Alright, same deal for the black wire. We're going to go on the opposite hole here. Just insert that right here. And then just as we did for the red one, we are going to do for the black one, we're going to solder the switch in right here. this point in the video, hopefully your back pinout looks something like this. Hopefully it looks a lot better than this actually, because this is a quite a bad soldering job, but I'm sure you guys did great. Let's turn it over. It should look like this on the top for the pinout. And now all we have to do is connect the motors and then we're good to go. All right, you're gonna get your N20 motor. And you're gonna notice that there's two spots on the back that have been pre-soldered, right here and right here. You're gonna get your black wire and red wire respectively and put them right here and right here just to connect up the motor. It doesn't matter which way you put these two because we're gonna be reversing the polarity with the switches. So as long as both of them are soldered onto one or the other of the two soldering points right here on the switch, then we are good to go. All right, let's solder it up. Let's solder it up. A little helpful tip when soldering two items that aren't on a perf board, kind of just floating. You want the two to be in contact even when the oh shoot. As I was saying before the motor popped off there, you want them to be in contact even, the motor is about to slide off again, so I'm gonna move it. But yeah, you want the two wires to be in contact even when there's no solder being applied. So that way, if your solder happens to slip or something like that, the 2 points are still in contact. They're not gonna break apart when you apply heat. On our power supply and make sure everything works, and if so, the video is over. All right, little rule of thumb before you turn on a power supply and have it connected to something, you're gonna wanna turn it on before it's connected, just to make sure that you don't have like 60 volts running from the previous user. That will just immediately blow up your circuit, or at least fry the motor. I checked, we're at 3 volts, so I'm gonna turn it on. And you always want these two connected before you turn it on. You don't wanna have one connected and then plug the other one in while it's running, otherwise that'll cause spark. So let's go, let's turn it on. Cords, we're using one power supply cord from this one and one from the other one, but it does officially work at this point. As you can see, let's turn up the voltage a little bit. Let's go to 4 or 5. And then let's switch the switches and see if it moves backwards. Boom, boom, yes it does. All right guys, we have our circuit. I'll just show you a little 360 view of everything. I cleaned up the soldering a little bit so it's a little easier to see what connects to what. Here's the top and here's the motor connection. I did not clean up the motor connection solder. That is quite atrocious on the back there, but it's all good, it's all good. We got a working circuit, and I hope you guys found this video very helpful, and I hope you're able to complete your project and get your Zims Makerspace cards ASAP. Good luck on finals, guys. I'll see you on the next one.